Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We're going to be talking about Google's AI overviews and how they are, because they definitely are, disrupting finance marketing. If you haven't met me or seen me before, then I'm Charlie Marchant. I'm CEO at Exposure Ninja and have the absolute pleasure today of sharing some really, really cool research that our team have done internally. So before I get into it, I'm just going to give a thank you to Dale, Kelly and Ben, who are on our marketing team and have done all of the detail orientated work, all of the in-depth research, all of the design to bring together this amazing data that we've got to share today on AI overviews. So whilst everyone's still coming into the room, a poll is about to appear on your screen. A quick one just to ask if you, in fact, do know what AI overviews are. Our baseline for today would be interested to know if people are comfortable with this topic, if it's totally new to you. Either is absolutely fine. And if you're going to have questions, because if you're not sure what this is yet, you may have a lot of questions, hold them in and you can pop them in the chat. My colleague Dale is working behind the scenes and we'll make sure there's time at the end to answer any questions that you do have. Okay, so majority in the room know what we're talking about, familiar with AI overviews. A couple of people, maybe less so, maybe the first time you're really hearing about them, not quite sure what it's going to mean. So let's get into it. An AI overview. This is what Google shows at the top of the search results for some search terms. So in the example that I've got on the screen here, current mortgage rates UK, massive, massive term, around 27,000 people Googling this every month. The top of what you're seeing here is the AI overview. That's AI generated content in the Google search results. This is global. These are UK results, but AI overviews, we see them in almost every country. Underneath that, the regular organic results, the 10 blue links we're used to seeing, you can see Rightmove are at the top of this. And you can see that sometimes these results have other features in them as well. So this one has people also asked. Sometimes you might also see featured snippets, all sorts of things within the results. But this is a good example of what an AI overview classically looks like. So what's even the point of AI overviews? Google's goal with these is essentially to answer the searcher's query inside the search results. So that's AI providing the answer with website sources, and Google wants the user to just get the answer immediately without having to navigate through lots of other websites in order to get it. And this is particularly important for Google for simple questions, what is this? How do you do something? Where they don't think someone necessarily needs to go further into the web to find the answer. The scary bit of this is AI overviews are negatively impacting website traffic. So we know that there's around a 15% average drop in CTR, which is click-through rate, when AI overviews are present on the search results. And that's because users are getting their questions answered. They don't now need to click through to the first website to get their answers. This means top ranking pages may no longer drive the traffic that they used to. You may see less traffic than you previously did as AI overviews become more and more prominent in the finance sector. That essentially means fewer site visits, and ultimately the thing that we're all worried about at the end of the day is how many leads we get, and that could potentially mean fewer leads as well. So this webinar, we're going to be talking about what we actually do about this and how we tackle this as marketers, as business owners who need to think about making sure we're getting leads for our finance businesses. Another poll is about to appear on the screen. Are you currently working on ranking in AI results? I just want to get a bit of a feel for the room. Who's already got some strategies in place to deal with these AI overviews and other AI results, and who's not yet got anything? Oh, okay. It sounds like we've got some pretty pro people here in the room. A couple of no's, majority yes. So we've got some things in place. Perfect. So what I'm going to take you through today then, firstly, going to look at the impact of AI overviews on the finance sector, and I'm going to share some of this sweet, tasty data that we've got. Then I'm going to look at which finance businesses are actually winning, because we all want to know what our competitors are up to, right? And then third, how you can actually win. what you're doing. Hopefully you're going to see some strategies you're familiar with if you're part of that 80% that are already doing something about this. But hopefully you're also going to learn something a little bit new and maybe some tasty tidbits or workflows to improve your current processes. And then I will leave you with some actionable takeaways. And at that point, if you've got any Q&As, we will get into them. This is the report that I've just mentioned. And for this, we analysed over 7 million finance related keywords. This is coming to your inbox after this webinar, and the report has even more detail than I could possibly talk through within this next 45-minute slot. So definitely make sure that you get a copy of it from your emails. So let's set the scene a little bit. AI overviews, what's changed, what's happened, where did they come from? There was a global rollout of AI overviews. They first launched in the US because the US gets all the fun things to play with first from Google. That was back in May 2024. If you're UK, you would have seen them start to appear in search results from August 2024. If you're further afield than UK and US, they extended to 100 plus countries, the majority in October 2024, including Australia and New Zealand. Actually, March 2025 was when they hit Germany, Italy, Switzerland, and a couple of other European countries. They had a bit of a late rollout in Europe because of EU regulations. They are, over time, occurring on more searches. So AI overviews roughly appear on 4% of finance-related searches based on the data that we've just analysed from March and April this year. So really recent data. You might be thinking 4%, what does that mean? That is thousands of search queries every month because there are so many searches done by people for finance-related information. And when I'm talking about finance information, I'm talking about mortgages, banking, investments, tax returns, financial advice, all those sorts of financial decisions that people make in their daily life. The other interesting thing about AI overviews is they mostly appear on long tail keywords. And when I say long tail, I mean keywords that are usually queries of 4 to 6 words tend to be most likely to feature an AI overview. So a slightly longer search term. And one of the other updates that happened is October last year, Google actually began incorporating ads into certain AI overviews, things like sponsored products tending to appear for queries that have commercial intent. And that is if you are running Google ads already and you've got search, shopping and PMAX ads, there are AI overview ads available in those products from Google. So AI overviews now occupy one of the most valuable positions on the search engine results page, and that is position 0, the first thing that we actually see on the SERPs. And most of them, so 93.6% of the search queries that trigger AI overviews are informational terms. And when I'm talking about informational terms, I'm comparing that against commercial terms. I've got a nice little pie chart here to show you actually that little purple bit. Those are the commercial terms, the 6.5%, the people who are actually probably moving towards a purchasing decision for the search that they're making. Informational intent, the 93%, these are people actually learning a bit more information. They're in that research stage. They're probably not yet ready to buy. They need to actually do some informational searches to get to that point of being ready to buy. So here's a couple of examples from the finance sector of informational searches that we see quite often. This first one, what is compound interest? Pretty top of the funnel term. You can see there's an AI overview on here. Here's a different one. Slightly different, all cap index fund, meaning something that someone who is potentially moving the funnel through the funnel to actually think about where to invest their money. They're now probably at the stage of knowing that there's a couple of different options. They've probably already learned what index funds roughly are. That's what they're doing now. And they're thinking about, right, okay, what kind of index funds do I want? What stocks and shares ISAs are available to me before they then get to the point of what you would expect after this, something around comparing actually businesses that offer that for them. So these arrows are pointing to citation links. This is where the information from the AI overview is coming from. So Google's linked that in. You can also see there's a little paperclip, the little link buttons there throughout to show exactly where this text has been pulled through, which articles. This is really important for businesses. Even though many of these AI overview results don't have as many clicks, seeing these websites means that they become sticky. It improves brand recognition for the people who are seeing them, and it makes them think, especially if someone's doing lots of searches, which is quite common in the finance sector, makes them think and remember certain brands turning up. So for example, Khan Academy, a very, very well-known educational platform. I also happened to listen to a webinar yesterday, which was about Reddit, that referenced how great Khan Academy is. If I've just made that search today and I happen to have heard about Khan Academy twice in a 2-day period, I'm starting to remember. This one on the right-hand side, I've probably been searching quite a lot about index funds, quite a lot about my options. I'm seeing Vanguard more than any other brand. I'm going to start to remember that Vanguard is somewhere that I can get these index funds from, where I can invest my money. All it then might take to tip me over the edge is a friend mentioning that they use Vanguard, and I'm thinking, I've heard of that brand before. This is where brand recognition comes in, and being cited in these AI overviews is really, really important for that. So let's get into the sectors. We looked at a couple of different sectors here for the finance sector. So mortgage, investment, financial advice, insurance, and banking, to see actually how present are these AI overviews when we dig down into the sectors. This is really, really fresh data. So my colleague Dale pulled even more up-to-date data than the report that we've got published, just specifically for this webinar, so that you can see what this looks like right now in the search results. So you can see here, these are informational keywords, and we've looked at absolutely thousands of them, and we've pulled out the percentage of them that actually show AI overviews. So for some sectors, the AI overview present on informational keywords is really high. Financial advice in particular is coming out one of the highest, mortgage and banking the second highest, where we're seeing more of these AI overviews start to come up. Let's compare it to commercial keywords. And as you might expect, we're seeing a smaller presence. This is because we are still seeing people search for more bottom of the funnel, more commercial terms, needing to navigate through to websites to make purchases. And this is probably Google's intent. It wants to answer as many informational queries in the search results as possible, so that when someone is moving to make a commercial query, they're then going through to the website that they actually need, where they can make a purchasing decision. Google essentially wants to compress that marketing funnel, get more people that are actually relevant, already educated, through to the websites. So I'm seeing a much smaller percentage on the commercial terms, things like 5.6% for mortgage keywords, 6% for insurance. Investment, interestingly, seeing quite a high presence of AI overviews in the investment sector at 34%, even on commercial keywords. So this is super important if you're in that sector, to actually be paying attention to which commercial keywords are still getting AI overviews as well. Right. What does this all mean? Charlie shared loads of data. You've seen all the percentages. We are seeing, here's the top level ones you need to know. 4% on average of AI overview presence for finance related keywords. It sounds like a small percent, but this is thousands, absolutely thousands of searches every month. Mortgage keywords are one of the most effective because they have so many cases coming up, 0.5% of those terms. 6.45% of AI overviews are triggered in keywords that have commercial intent. The interesting thing about this stat is this is significantly above the 0.8% industry average. So really important. And 15% is the predicted drop in click-through rate when AI overviews are present, because really it's increasing zero-click searches. And what we're focusing on with AI overviews is that brand stickiness, that brand recognition. So let's get into the competitors. Who is winning in the AI overviews? Our team pulled apart dozens of search results for keywords in the mortgage sector to have a look at which brands are coming up most frequently, which ones are most frequently cited in the AI overviews. You can see from this really neat graph, NatWest is leading the pack here. Way more citations compared to their competitors. Halifax, Money Helper, Money Supermarket, HSBC. These are for mortgage related keywords that we're seeing that. If we have a look at the investment sector, we can see there's an even clearer increase from Investopedia, who publish tons of finance related content, and they are absolutely ahead of competitors. So ahead of Vanguard, Hargreaves Lansdown, Aviva, and NerdWallet, even though we see some of these brands coming up in those AI overview citations as well. This is just giving you a bit of an idea of how ahead some businesses are. If one of these is your sector and you're thinking, oh my goodness, these are big brands, have a look at what they're doing. Have a look at how they're coming up in those AI overviews and start to unpick some of the terms that you're seeing them on, so you can get a bit more of an idea of what content they're publishing, what's ranking well. Which leads me into how to win. The juicy part, the part that we're all most interested in, I think, is how we actually get into these AI overviews. How do we get to those top positions? How do we get cited? So I'm going to take you through a bit of a workflow. If anyone hasn't this tool before, this is a fantastic tool called SEMrush, and you can use SEMrush for all sorts of organic research, keyword analytics, keyword data. What I've got on my screen here is a client of ours called DSLD Mortgage, and I've got their US data up, and this shows you the keywords that they are already ranking for. What you can then do is filter this to see which ones are already keywords that rank in the AI overviews. So that funny little flower icon, that means that there's an AI overview present on that search term. So you can easily find this in the tool. You don't need to go to Google and search for every keyword, though you might want to do that to see specifically what is coming up for certain ones. Then you can see in the position the ones that DSLD already owns from the keywords where they're ranking. And then this other column will show you the ones even if they don't own them. So if DSLD, for example, is position 4 for something, but there is an AI overview and they don't own it, you can scroll down and see all of the unowned ones as well. And you can also filter by owned and unowned to check the number of AI overviews that you have. If you've never used this tool before and you don't have anything that does anything like this, then you can head to thankyouninjas.com, where SEMrush have kindly given us a free trial to share with you all. And you can have a bit of a play to see what keywords you're showing up for, filter by those AI overviews, and take a little bit of a look at the ones you might want to try and get placements for. So what do you actually do with all of this data? Unfortunately, you do need a bit of a manual count if you're trying to increase the number of AI overviews that you have. So the AI overviews graph that I've just popped on the screen now, which shows the region, these are the target markets for one of our other financial sector clients who work in the financial education space. And we ran a big project for them, still running it, focusing on dominating as many AI overviews relevant to their products and services as possible. And the important part of this was we don't just want any old AI overviews. We want specific finance related ones in specific target regions. So for them, that's US, UK, and India, with US being one of the big focuses. And what we've done is just track the number of AI overviews we had at the end of the first quarter, and then the number that we had at the end of the second quarter, working out the percentage change in the AI overviews that we're dominating. This is, of course, not the only metric we're tracking. We always focus on return on investment here at Exposure Ninja because that's so important. Ultimately, it's the bottom line that we're working to. But the great thing to do with AI overviews is to understand and use them as a progress marker for how many you're actually managing to take, what sort of share of the search results you're getting. And this is probably the cleanest, simplest, easiest way to do it. So how do we actually get them then? So you've done the research, you've got a list of AI overviews that you want to get to. I absolutely recommend going after AI overviews for ones where you're sort of already positions 1 to 10 on organic. They're going to be the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest AI overviews for you to start getting, and then you can build from there. There's 3 very simple, quick ways to grab those AI overviews. The first, hopefully not too frustratingly broad for you, is starting with a really strong SEO base. We know that to get the AI overviews, you already need to be ranking well in the Google organic search results. If you are way down on page 20, you're going to have a really difficult time getting hold of that AI overview, and you're going to have to work on your SEO to get further up the search results before you can start your AI overviews targeting. The second is creating AI friendly content. That's super important, and I'll get into some examples of what that looks like shortly. And the third is actually submitting your changes via Google Search Console, different from Google Analytics. So the first one, a strong SEO base. Here's a term: how much do financial advisors charge? You can see the AI overview here, and what my colleagues have done is just show you exactly what positions these websites, these pieces of content are in the SERPs. So the first one, position 1, the second one, position 5, the third one, position 2. All of these are page 1 ranking websites already. And so they've got the AI overview off the back of having already done a significant amount of groundwork in SEO. So the summary then, 11% of cited sources came from those position 1s, 75%, huge, from position 1 to 10. Position 1 to 10 is page 1. So essentially, you want to be on page 1 to be going after AI overviews for that keyword. And 25% of cited sources came from position 6 or lower. So it's getting more difficult if you are heading towards the bottom of the page than if you're actually definitely middle of that page. The second thing, AI-friendly content. And when I'm saying AI-friendly content, I don't mean creating your content in ChatGPT. I mean creating content that is easy for AI search engines to actually understand. So 4 of the mainstays of creating AI-friendly content. The first is short, easy to read sentences in simple, clear language. If you wanted another human to understand you, you would do your best not to speak in a really convoluted way, and you should absolutely think of it the same when you're writing as well. You want AI to easily be able to understand the patterns in what you're writing, and actually using good phrasing is great for both human readers and for AI. Concise paragraphs that make a clear point. You don't want to cause any confusion by putting too many topics or too many different points into just one paragraph. So be very intentional with how you split your content. The third one is direct answers to common questions placed near the top of the page. And this links to the last one, which is headings that really closely match the search query you're trying to rank for. So break down that keyword that you're targeting in your page copy. Understand what the sub questions that are on people's minds will be, other things that they might be searching related to that topic. Make sure you've got the headings on the page. Make sure you're answering them really clearly, really cleanly, and giving direct answers underneath that. So here's one of the examples that I've pulled that is a little tasty bonus for you, which is, don't only think about your written content here. So whilst on this example, 3 of those 4 in the citation panel at the side are written content pieces, the last one is actually a YouTube content. So this AI overview, which is for what is a great return on investment, shows that YouTube citation on the link cards. And that actually goes through to look at video content. I've popped one on the right from a different search term, which is how to open a bank account. Again, a video piece of content. We're seeing more and more different types of content coming up to the SERPs, and YouTube is particularly big for this because, of course, Google owns YouTube as well. So they want to push that video content. And we also know, particularly for Gen Z and millennials, they prefer watching video most of the time. So video is becoming really, really important. If you are thinking about how to get some of these citations in AI overviews, and you know that you're working on really competitive search terms, try a bit of video. I would recommend that as a really good way to differentiate yourself, because so many people are still focusing purely on written content. And actually, sometimes you might just want to do something a bit different to try and get yourself higher up these search results. If you're thinking, oh my goodness, Charlie, you're giving me so many different things here, I just want a quick checklist. Fortunately, we've got that. We have prepped a checklist for you. This is just a brief sample size of it. There's even more checks to make on the actual checklist. You can scan the QR code on the screen and get a PDF copy of this checklist, which gives you all of the things you know about how to rank in Google's AI overview. And that takes you through from foundational SEO to the exact kinds of changes that you want to make in your content. Makes it really quick and easy to go through. You can just use the checklist for every content piece that you're creating on your website before you start doing it. And if you're thinking QR codes, no, then don't worry, you can just go to exposure.ninja/AI-checklist, the old-fashioned way, and type it in the search bar. Right, Google Search Console. So not to be confused with Google Analytics. In Google Search Console, you can paste your URLs for updated content directly in here and request re-indexing to happen faster from Google. So if you've got an old piece of content on your site, you've made some updates to try and get it featured in the AI overview, you've just updated the blog post, you've maybe updated the date to June 26th or the newest date, published it again, go straight into Google Search Console, whack it into the inspect any URL bar, and then click the request indexing button so that you know Google's going to start re-indexing that content. That will make things go a bit quicker. And then you can see a couple of days later, has it improved in rankings? A week later, if it's flat, then it hasn't worked. You can make some more changes, do it again, and actually start testing, seeing what is having an impact on the content that you're putting in. There you go. That's the bar at the top. So there's a bit more to it, unfortunately, than just the AI overviews. AI search is really a growing field in SEO, and finance marketing is also being affected by the advent of all types of AI. So I'm talking about ChatGPT, talking about Gemini, Perplexity, all of these other large language models or LLMs that people are now searching in as well as Google. Whilst Google is still by far the most dominant player when it comes to search, we know that loads of people are using ChatGPT and it's growing rapidly, really rapidly, and that people are using it for both kinds of searches. They'll do a Google search and they'll do a ChatGPT search. It's not always one or the other. AI search optimization goes much beyond the AI overviews because we know that people are starting to look for different things in there. So this search query here, you can see, can you list a few examples of popular UK mortgage providers? This is exactly the type of financial term that someone will put into ChatGPT so that they can have a conversation and get more personalized results about their specific situation. So they might then go on to have a conversation about who their previous mortgage provider was, if they were happy with them, what kind of rates they were previously paying or are paying now, if they can port their mortgage over, if they need to have two mortgages when they're buying a new property, how they're going to remortgage, who's the best provider, who's got the best reviews. They can have all of that in a conversational chat in ChatGPT. And the finance sector, as with many industries, you're going to start seeing more and more traffic coming from ChatGPT and other AI platforms, not only from the AI overviews as well. Again, underlying SEO is incredibly important to this as well. The next level of this is AI mode. Google has rolled out something called AI mode in the US. There's a poll about to jump on your screen to ask you if you have seen AI mode before, if this is the first time you're hearing about what AI mode is. Ooh, we're 100% no. Okay, brilliant. So AI mode, this is the newest thing in search. Don't be embarrassed if you've not heard about what AI mode is yet. Oh, the poll's changing. You're hearing about it now, right? For the first time. So this rolled out to everyone in the US starting on the 20th of May, so just over a month ago. And AI mode is essentially a new tab. You can see on the screen here, there's AI mode, all images, video, news, where you're used to being able to toggle in the Google search results to different things. AI mode is essentially a ChatGPT-like experience that's built into Google. At the moment, it's not the default search. So if I type, what are the current mortgage rates in the UK into the search bar, I'm going to get the traditional Google results. But I can switch to the AI mode tab, and what it will show me is a whole AI post instead, giving me almost something akin to a blog post, very similar to a ChatGPT result, answering that query for me. It also has citation panels within there as well, similar to the kind of layout that we've seen in the AI overview. And you could say that the AI overview, which is obviously active now, something that we're all thinking about on this webinar, how to actually get those AI overviews, is like an early stage almost of AI mode. That's Google getting searchers used to seeing AI in the search results. Whilst they haven't made this AI mode the default experience, there is a strong chance that this will eventually replace the traditional Google search results page. And similar with the AI overviews result, if you remember from earlier in this webinar, I mentioned that the US does get all the fun things to play with first before they roll out elsewhere. We can assume that once Google's had a bit of testing ground in the US with the AI mode rollout, that will eventually be coming to the UK and then further afield and then going global after that as well. If you are a US brand and you're thinking, goodness, this is the first I'm really hearing about this, now is a great time to put in some of the keywords that you know people usually search about your brand, toggle on AI mode, and start to see if you're coming up in the same way. The Google search results and Google's AI mode don't generate exactly the same results. There are differences in the way that you optimize for them, and you can't expect that if you're in position 1 in the Google search results that you will be in position 1 in AI mode. So have a little look at the comparisons so you can start thinking about what the future might look like and some of the tweaks you might need to make. If this is all new and feeling a bit overwhelming, or this is kind of exciting, then I can highly recommend jumping onto our YouTube channel where my colleague Tim does some amazing videos about AI search. Particularly, I'm fond of the AI search in 22 minutes, a very quick, easy video that gives you everything you need to know about AI search optimization for ChatGPT and other LLMs. You can also find content about AI mode, and you can also find content about featuring products in ChatGPT, Perplexity, all of those topics, and all of the new news as it comes out. If you're not a QR code scanner, then you can just type Explosion into YouTube into Google and you will find it. Would appreciate if you subscribe because you're probably going to find some great content over the next couple of weeks there as well. Which leads me on to our actionable takeaways, the things we can actually do if we're working in the finance sector, thinking about AI overviews. The first is understanding which keywords you can target to feature in the AI overviews. Remember that SEMrush workflow that I mentioned earlier, actually creating a list, making a plan of the AI overviews that you've got, the ones you already own, the ones you don't own that you want, that you're on page 1 for, so your low-hanging fruit AI overview targets, and then also, lastly, the ones that you don't yet have the opportunity to get. Maybe you're on page 2, maybe they feel a bit further in the distance, so that you can start working your way in priority order down the AI overviews that you really want. And you can use search volume, competition, all of the usual things you're used to using for keyword metrics to understand which ones you want to go for first. Then you can create clear, fact-based, expert-validated content focused on things like definitions, comparisons, how-tos, or your niche that were relevant to your customers. And this is super important because the finance sector is known as a YMYL niche, your money, your life niche, which means essentially in the world of marketing that the queries that people ask are really important. They actually make life decisions off the back of financial information. And it's super important that the content that you put out on your website is accurate. Even more so because Google doesn't want to show inaccurate financial information in its AI overviews. It's going to be using the most up-to-date content, the freshest content that there is. Back at the end of last year, there was a micro study around October time that showed something like 43% of AI overviews were giving inaccurate content, and Google came under a bit of heat about the amount of inaccurate content coming on that YMYL type queries. And so more and more they're focusing on making sure they're using the most up-to-date relevant financial content. This is a massive opportunity for anyone in the financial sector to actually be leading the way with keeping that content fresh and really, really updated. The third is building authority through clear branding, structured content, and third-party citations as well. So making sure that your brand is sticky. Remember, we saw Vanguard on multiple AI overviews in my previous examples. Making sure that you're also getting third-party citations, and that means things like PR links from other websites in the way you might traditionally think of link building and SEO, but also start thinking more about brand mentions because that's much more important when it comes to ChatGPT and other LLMs. And also, of course, think about your reviews. So if you are on a review site like Trustpilot or reviews.io or FIFO, making sure that you're managing those reviews, how you're being spoken about, on those as well. Make sure that you're also thinking about Reddit, Quora, anywhere else on the internet that people might be giving personal experiences or talking about your brand, because more and more those are being incorporated into AI search as well. And then it's just good to know ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, they are starting to become heavy movers in replacing that browsing part, that research part that people do before they're making purchasing decisions, before they're making investment decisions, particularly before they're making really big life decisions like taking out a mortgage or which stocks and shares ISA to put their money into. So start thinking about optimizing for those two. And you can, of course, find more on the YouTube channel specifically about each of these and how to optimize for them, because unfortunately it's different from the AI overviews. There's nuances to optimizing for all of these different areas. And as I mentioned earlier, you can expect the full report of everything that I've been through today with even more tasty data into your inbox after this. So before I move on to Q&A, I'm going to leave you with a review that makes me absolutely glowing, to be honest. This is from our client Dana, who is the Senior VP of Finance at DSLD Mortgage, just really saying how excited it was for us to actually work together. They brought us so many ideas and we loved it. And they also loved our ideas too. So if you're finding that you feel like you're kind of working alone, you're kind of in silo, you're needing more ideas about AI search, or you just want to bounce ideas with a marketing partner that really, really cares and actually has the expertise to give you direction, then we are the agency waiting for you. We have a super friendly team that you can request a call back from anytime. You can do that by just heading to exposureninja.com, or you're always welcome to drop us an email directly at hello@en, or try and just ring directly through. You might actually get someone on the phone. The other thing we offer is a free website and marketing review. So if we think that we can help you, you are welcome to request a marketing review. We'll ask you a couple of discovery questions on a call, make sure that actually we think you're working in an area that we could help with, and then we'll give you some good advice in those reviews as well. Right. That pretty much brings me to the end of my presentation. I think my colleague Dale is going to join me on stage. Hey, Dale, to do some Q&As.
I certainly am. Although I have actually opened up another window with my VPN setup, so we could do some live demos of AI mode if anybody has any queries they'd like to see. So I can fire that up once we get through the Q&As. Also, got a demonstration of SEMrush as well. So I was looking at Rocket Mortgage, and you can actually filter and see how many queries are pulling up an AI overview as well, which is really insightful and useful for figuring out which queries do I want to target based on what my competitors are doing. So we'll get to that in just a second. So the Q&A that we have here. So Stuart, near the beginning, was asking, how long? Oh, actually, I can put this on the screen. There we go. Okay. Sorry, just to point out, if you want to get a copy of the report right now, the white paper, you can just click the button at the bottom. It says get my copy if you're watching this on demand later and you haven't yet seen it in your email. So yeah, how long does it take Google to pick up your changes?
Oh, this is such a great question, and I wish I could give like an exact time frame on this. I would say generally, if you're starting from scratch, you've not been running an SEO campaign before, you are actually going to take 3 to 6 months to really see wide scale change with your SEO work, with your rankings, particularly if you're starting from a sort of like base level 0 and your website's fairly fresh, fairly new. If your website's been going for a while and you've actually been doing a bit of SEO, you're not like a totally new horse in the race, Google can actually pick up changes quite quickly. And we've seen for more established businesses, I've seen on blogs, I've seen on business websites, that sometimes rankings can change within a couple of days. So you can even see things 2-3 days later in the search results. I would say don't panic after 24 hours. Don't expect to see anything that quickly. If you've made a significant change to a blog post, say, wait a week to see if anything's changed in the SERPs. But if you were on already page 1, for example, and you're seeing, oh, I just stayed at the same, then you could start making a couple more changes. So at least a week, if you're already established, you're making changes to a blog that you've had before, making a couple of updates. If you're totally new, expect it to be a longer period of building.
Yeah, I would say with some of the more recent cases I've seen from our team, they sometimes been able to get the AI overview updated in just a couple of hours, like within 5 hours, by just doing a few bits and pieces and then going into Search Console to just ping it in there, force Google to go back and refresh and re-crawl that content. And as I said, sometimes within 5 hours you'll see a change, but it really depends on the sector as well. Like in finance, there's a lot of people, a lot of brands also doing the same work. So it's just like with traditional SEO, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people bouncing around, making improvements. So it may not be quite as fast as that. It may come to the weeks and months that Charlie's mentioned just there.
Absolutely.
Next question is from Jiri, who's asking, I don't have any SEO at the moment. Will that be a problem for AI overviews?
Oh, hey, Jerry. Everyone has to start somewhere and at some point, right? If SEO is fairly new to you, please don't be demotivated by this. When it comes to AI overviews, you do really need to already be page 1 or 2 of Google for the keywords you're going after before you have the opportunity to push into the AI overviews. And that kind of makes sense because the AI overviews, as I mentioned earlier, they're position 0. They're top of the results. So they're a really valuable piece of search engine real estate. Lots of people, lots of brands want to be there. That doesn't mean that you can't actually start competing for it, because you definitely can. And my recommendation, if you're just starting out, you haven't really done any SEO, is to actually research some more niche keywords. Start smaller. Don't try and go after, best mortgage rates in the UK. That's a massive, massive keyword, highly competitive. Lots of people want that. As you can imagine, many banks want that keyword. Instead, start with something niche. Think about who your customers are, what kind of queries they might be searching. Go for keywords that have a smaller amount of search volume, but also a lower competition. And you can see that data in SEMrush as well. And then start trying to build content for those. Start trying to get your page 1 rankings. And when you're on page 1, then start going for that AI overview. So you can build.
Going to move on to the next question because we've got a couple. So somebody's asking about how to update the robots.txt file to ensure these are not blocked. I'm gonna. Do you want me to take this one?
Yeah, you take that one, Dale. We're getting technical. Getting technical in here.
It's actually relatively easy to do. To update a robots.txt file is quite easy. You just kind of open it up and put it into Notepad or something like that, and you just type around and change it. It's really, really simple to do. However, it is incredibly easy to mess up and tell all of these crawlers to not crawl your website, which leads to ranking drops. And I've seen that many, many times. It is easy to do, and there are plenty of guides out there that will help you to do it. My best recommendation would be to speak to your in-house SEO or speak to your SEO agency. And if you're really not sure, you can email us as well, and we'll see if we can help you make the right choices. I would expect that if you're not actively doing much technical SEO, you're probably not blocking these crawlers already. It's only the businesses who have gone out of the way to actually add in the blocks where it's likely to be the case.
I would also say always double check if you've had a website rebuild. If you've just redone your website and you've had a development agency potentially doing it and they don't work in SEO, that is the time to always double check, because you don't want to put your new website live. You've accidentally blocked crawlers and you haven't got your robots.txt file working. So double check at that time as well.
Another question, which isn't related directly to finance, but I think the question is actually applicable to every industry. But they're asking about, they're not in the finance sector, but they're curious about how to actually utilize this for their sector and what they sell. Would you do anything differently?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that if you're in, so the example here is online furniture store. So a totally different kind of sector. It doesn't have the same sort of your money, your life urgency to it, where Google needs to get the information as accurate as possible. So I think you've probably got a bit more flexibility if you're in this type of sector where you're not YMYL. Things I would think about differently are going to be broader content pieces. This kind of something like furniture is a very visual sector as well. So I think you would want to start creating content that's maybe a bit more top of funnel and middle of funnel to get people in, actually understanding things like size and scale of furniture. There's probably loads of different search terms, different types of sofa. I don't even know words to describe different types of sofas, but I'm sure that's exactly the search journey that people who are buying a new sofa are going on. I would start thinking about your most lucrative products first, the ones that have the highest profit margins, then looking at the kinds of things people might be searching before they decide that that's the specific product they need, before they've decided they need that kind of sofa. So that's going to be measurements, different types of materials for sofas, durability of sofas, whatever else it is. I've assumed that sofas are highest margin, but it could be anything else that is in your furniture stack. And then actually do some keyword research around that. Start with looking at which AI overviews are coming up for those specific terms as well. Anything you'd add to that, Dale?
No, I think you nailed it right there. Don't need me for this one. There is another question that goes back to something that was said beforehand about when you redesign the website, you have a new website. Lucia was asking about, sorry, what was that about the new website? We're literally just replacing it now.
Love that. I was just saying, if you're launching a new website, you've just done a rebrand, you've just rebuilt it, make sure that you've got all of the crawlers working. Make sure that you haven't accidentally blocked your robots.txt. This sometimes happens when people are building new websites, because of course, when your development agency is in build mode, they don't actually want your website showing up and ranking in the search results because it's not finished. They don't want it to be a live site. So they've made sure it's de-indexed. So when you actually put the new site live, you want to make sure that Google will be indexing all of the pages and that you haven't accidentally blocked the crawlers from coming to the site. It can actually be a bit of a complicated process for SEO if you are changing over from an old website to a new website. So I would definitely recommend getting advice if you are literally just now about to be replacing it, to make sure that you don't actually lose too many of your rankings in the process. There's always a little bit of a risk when you're changing over with your website. So you want to make sure that you've got your redirects in place. You want to make sure that your tech is still good in the background. You want to make sure that your site speed is still good when it goes live. So always worth just getting a bit of SEO oversight on that, I would say.
We have Natalia, who's asking somewhat similar thing, which is about updating the theme and made themselves, and they've changed it to TXT. I'd appreciate if the team could review and help to make sure it's not a home site. I just checked your robots.txt file, and it looks absolutely fine. But if you want to send us an email, if you email us at hello@exposureninja.com, we'll be able to direct you to someone who'll be able to do like a deeper check for you if you like. Sure, be more than happy to, somebody from the SEO team.
That is a major multitasking that you're just pulling up the robot. Having a little look.
Can't help myself. It's the old SEO in me. I have to check. I have to know. Okay, super. So a couple of more questions coming through. We've got one from Deepesh who's asking, will Google Search Console or GSC, will it show it clearly if this is the case? If I'm assuming it's about whether we're appearing in AI overviews or not. I'm not entirely sure. Let's just take it like that. And
okay,
Deepesh, if you want to clarify later.
Hey, Deepesh. Okay, so Google Search Console. This is similar to Google Analytics, but different. It gives you different kinds of data. You have to set up Google Search Console yourself. When you set up Google Search Console and have it attached to your website, you can see if something is being indexed. So if you pop in a URL from your site and you click enter, and then it will show you if it's in Google's index already, it will say indexed. And if it's not, it will say it's not indexed. If you've just updated content, like I mentioned earlier, and you pop in the URL, you can request it to be indexed in there straight away. Google Search Console, though, won't show you when you've hit the AI overviews. You, unfortunately, have to do that using a different kind of tool like SEMrush or SE Ranking or Moz, if you use that, to check if you're in the AI overviews. Unfortunately, Google Search Console doesn't do it. We would love Google to update this into Google Search Console, Google Analytics. So write in to Google and ask them for that. We'd all love it.
Yeah, we absolutely would. Deepesh has clarified here about if the site has been de-indexed is what they meant. So would it show in Google Search Console, yeah, it should do. If it's a manual action, it will. A manual action is where Google has specifically chosen to de-index your website, so you're not showing search results. But you should have other tells in there, such as impression drops and things like that.
Yeah. If your traffic drops off a cliff, first thing to check.
Joe, we're actually working on a video at the moment, which is called "Why Is My Traffic Dropped," which should come out in the next like 4 to 5 weeks. So if you can wait until then, you should be fine. But there are similar blogs on our website too. So just go to exposureninja.com, and if you hit the search bar right now, just go to the blog /blog. We've got maybe 1 or 2 articles about what to do if my traffic drops, and it'll give you a bit of a checklist of check your rankings, check Google Analytics, check Google Search Console, and so on. Lucille is asking, what are the robots, by the way, for a non-techie like me? Do you know what? We can find that out. So I'm going to present my screen, and then we'll maybe go into a bit of live demos for AI mode for anyone who hasn't yet been able to do it. So just bear with me a second once I get that sorted. Okay, so I'll just get you on screen. Cool. All right, so I'm going to take the CTA off because I can't see. All right, cool. So this is a robots.txt file. It basically communicates to any crawler where you are or are not allowed to go. So if you just look at here, it says user agent, which is another way of saying crawler, like Googlebot or Googlebot smartphone or ChatGPT bot. You are or are not allowed in these places. So this is saying to everybody, you can, this applies to every crawler, do not go in here, do not go in there, do not go in there, and so on. Mm-hmm. However, you can get like a bit more specific and say, like, you know, Google Ads bot, you're allowed, you shouldn't go into here, Ahrefs bot and so on, SEMrush bot, don't go in there. This looks fairly basic. You're saying to Googlebot, you're allowed to go anywhere you like. So as far as I can see, this robots.txt file is fairly clean, but I'm just very quickly looking now, so I'm not very sure. But that's what I mean by robots. Or robots.txt file.
I love how you're like, this looks simple, and everyone else is thinking, we're not technical here. That is the kind of someone who's worked in SEO for many years.
Just wanted to hop over to SEMrush. I was talking before about how much you can measure the visibility of AI overviews for your brand or how well your website does for it. So we're partnered with SEMrush, who are fantastic. I love the team, but more than anything, I love the tool because it makes this bit, the research bit, so easy. So let's just say that I worked for another mortgage company. I work for better.com. I dropped my competitor Rocket Mortgage into here, and I'm looking specifically at the US. I can see how well they're doing for keyword visibility. So let's just go in just the first page and take off the SERP features. Okay, they're doing fairly well. They've done better in the past, but in terms of SERP features like AI overviews and, you know, the various different design features you can get in there, they're doing really, really well. I imagine a lot of this is from SERP features like the AI overview. So I can get specific in here. I can go to the filter, go SERP features on the search engine result page, or SERP, and click on AI overview. And then it's going to tell me exactly which keyword. We say keywords, but I feel like we're moving past that now. It's search queries, because keywords is not really how people are going to search anymore. So perhaps search queries is better. I can see which kind of queries are bringing up an AI overview. So I can look into, this is specifically around Rocket Mortgage, but if I'm looking for something more of like a how question, why question, what question, I can dial into that as well. So go to advanced filters and then stop me if I'm getting into this too much, but include word count is greater than like 4 or 5 words. That's when you're going to get into the hows and the whys, and I can even filter it by that as well. And you can see, okay, what is a bridge loan? Probably very common search term. We've got 6,000 people searching for that on a monthly basis. According to this, there's an AI overview, and we can actually go and see it by clicking on here. So just open up the search engine result page, and you can see what that looks like. So if you, again, coming back to how do I determine which AI overviews are important to my business, I can do it by doing some competitor analysis and see what they're appearing for, but also stepping back and thinking, what does the buyer journey look like? What kind of queries are people going to be searching for? And then I can search for them and see what they look like. And this is how things stand today. So I can see, okay, whoever's being referenced in here, Rocket Mortgage is coming up second. That piece of content is a piece of content I want to go and do better than. In the same way we would do in traditional SEO sense.
Yeah.
How do I go and beat that with better content, or content that AI crawlers like a ChatGPT bot prefer?
Absolutely. This is a great example as well, I think, of exactly the kinds of top of the funnel term that people need to know first before they're even ready to consider what mortgage brand they might be looking at, because they want an idea. They don't just want to ring up and be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. They actually want to do a bit of research first to know, okay, maybe I need a bridge loan. That could be an option for me, so that then they can have that conversation once they've actually got to the point of making contact with someone. So the best way is to always try and think back, what is someone thinking before they got to me? What were they thinking before then? What actually brought them down this path to my website?
Just like go through to this piece of content, you can see why it's probably been selected, is because it's just really well balanced between the a very brief explanation of what this specific thing is, and that's pretty much what the search query is. They're just looking for a quick answer on what that is, and AI overviews are perfect for that. When it comes to AI mode, though, it goes far deeper, and user questions get far more complicated. So how are we doing for time? Oh wow, we're really getting close to the end. Sorry about that. All right. Let's go. Let's be quick. So we've got 4 more minutes. So AI mode available in North America, I think mostly United States, but it's now been launched in labs in India as well. So that's another, this is coming to us pretty rapidly. It's going to be in other countries pretty soon, I guess. When you do a search, you get a typical, please not now, go away. You get an AI search result for what are current mortgage rates. You can see, okay, this is what it looks like, but we can dive deeper into it with AI mode. So you click on that button, or it'll be on the left-hand side as across the options at the top. It's going to aggregate all of the different information that it has access to, the background database of the LLM, so what it understands about all the various, maybe the businesses or brands or lenders, what historically are the best mortgage rates, and it's going to augment it with what content is out there today. So it's pulled through content from Bankrate and NerdWallet and all these places where they're updating on almost daily basis what the best or current mortgage rates are. And it's really well done. It's like an extension of AI overview, but I don't know about you, Chai. It feels to me like this is probably going to be the default for search going forward.
I definitely think this will eventually be the default. I think they've still got some changes to make here, though. For most people, I think they've got used to using ChatGPT, and we're used to that sort of like conversational feel. And at the moment, this still feels quite transactional in AI mode. So I think we're probably going to start to see shifts once Google's actually tested this more with its initial rollouts in the US and India, to then get an idea of, right, how do people interact with it? What kind of conversation are they trying to have? How do we make sure that this actually is a really great product to searchers? Because what they won't want to do is just turn searchers right off and think like, oh, I don't want to be using these AI results. I like the traditional ones. So I think they're going to have to actually make some improvements first before it gets there.
Yeah, absolutely. But I definitely feel it's the end game.
It's thorough, isn't it? Look at that result. There's so much in there. I actually had a question earlier. Someone asked me about map packs and local SEO, and whether local SEO is still important. This is a great example, this SERP right now. And if you work in this kind of sector where you actually have a business who's serving locally or regionally, state by state, if you're in the US, or in counties, if you're in the UK, you still need your local SEO. Google's AI mode, they want to keep you in the Google ecosystem as long as possible. As Dale's just opened up here, this is the Google My Business profile linked to the maps. So you need to be keeping on top of your Google My Business profile if you are a local business, if you are a business that actually has different offices, different workplaces, where people can come in, even different shops if you're a store, because these are in AI as well. We're seeing them all over.
Yeah, and you're seeing it inside of the results as well. So this is increasing where we're getting links directly through to the cited websites. in the instance where there is a local Google business profile result, it's just opening that up. So you don't have to get as far as the map at the bottom. So as Charlie said, you need that baseline, that foundation of SEO and local SEO if regional growth is an aim for you, or increasing footfall or whatever it is. Okay, we've reached time, and I haven't had anybody else ask for a demonstration like of a search term that they want. But yeah, there's a lot been said so far.
If you do, email us in, because Dale and I love to do videos breaking down specific kinds of search terms. So if you feel like there's an area that you want to know more about, search terms that are on your mind, you're thinking like, I have no idea what this looks like in your specific niche. If you're specific as well, someone emailed me just earlier asking about like what it looks like in manufacturing of fish tackler lines. Very niche. Not many people have asked that kind of question, but I love it, because then we actually get to have a look at something that we've probably not even necessarily seen before. So just email in anything that you like, hello@exposureninja.com, or you can always find me and Dale on LinkedIn. We love to have a LinkedIn chat as well. And drop us any things that you want to see. We're more than happy to do it. The other thing I would say is I think there's quite a few people in this webinar who work in the mortgage sector. Great, lucky you, because we just very recently did a fantastic webinar, one of my favorite ever, breaking down how we got 11,000 leads for a mortgage business that we worked for in a multi-channel marketing campaign. Dale's just dropped that in the chat. You can also find it on our YouTube channel. It is an hour long, so prep yourself a coffee, and I would say watch that early in the morning so that you can actually absorb as much information as possible. But it's perfect if you work in the mortgage or something very similar to mortgage sector. It's a great case study in how to get really, really high quality leads in that first 12 months of marketing. And it's a great one if you're not doing loads of SEO already, because that business was doing almost no SEO when they first came to us looking for an agency partner. So there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
There certainly is. Okay, well, great. Thank you so much to Charlie for delivering a fantastic presentation. You will receive the white paper and a recording of this webinar at about 30 minutes after this, once we get everything sorted out. And as Charlie said, we've got loads of content over on our YouTube channel. There's the 20-minute version of that case study for DSLD mortgage, as well as the longer webinar in the live part as well, plus many more videos about financial marketing, about the impact of AI mode, the impact of AI overviews, and so on. So thank you so much for coming along. I do enjoy that content too. That's over at youtube.com/exposure ninja. And have a fantastic evening or afternoon, depending on where you're watching from. Thanks very much.